Hello, welcome back to the Olden Shot. Today is mainly a talkie video and it's about how I go about buying second-hand cameras. This is part one, which is specific to online, and it's specific to online in the UK. I've got quite a haul of cameras. This is just some of them that I bought online, and the sort of places you can buy from online is camera dealers. Normally have a shop or premises, but they have an online presence. There's eBay, there's Shpock, Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace and various others, and my experience is eBay. The others, Facebook Marketplace, Shpock, Gumtree, I'm not sure what sort of protection you get if there's a problem with what you're buying. I know there are protections there with eBay and with dealers. I would say if you're looking for a specific camera that you've dreamt about for years, I would go to a dealer, because dealers know what they're selling. They know that they will accurately describe the condition, and you get a guarantee or warranty normally. You pay more, but you know what you're buying. eBay can be a great resource for sourcing cameras. When I buy from eBay, I don't go looking for a specific model normally. I just look for cameras which are within my price range and are interesting to me, and what I think might be interesting to the viewers. But as with everything, you need to be careful when buying online, because normally you don't see the product before you actually receive it. So how do I buy from eBay? Again, this is specific to buying from UK sellers. I haven't bought from abroad. I'm not saying that I would never buy from abroad, it's just my experience in the way that I buy is from UK. So first of all, read the description and view the photos. If there's something that sounds or looks off, move on to the next item. Is there something missing in the photos, like a close-up shot of the lens? Think about whether or not the seller is hiding something. Move on to the next item. In the description there's usually a statement of whether the equipment works or not. In my experience and judgment, this is what I read into those descriptions. If it says not working or parts missing, that's probably an accurate statement. So unless you're a professional camera repairer or prepared to pay a professional, move on to the next item. If it says appears to work but not film tested, the seller may have tried all the controls and got the expected clicks, etc., but there's no implied guarantee that shutter speeds are accurate or the aperture blades aren't sticky. So be wary and look at the type of seller before pulling the trigger on that sort of description. If it says it's untested, that's risky. Are they untested, or have they been tested and found to be faulted? Whether or not I take the risk will be down to my assessment of the seller, and I'll come to types of sellers that I've bought from shortly. If it says the camera is working, that's your guarantee. If it is subsequently found to be faulty, you will get your money back. It is still worth assessing the seller to save disappointment. Do they know cameras enough to know it is working, or are they guessing? If it says film tested and working, that to my mind is the safest description, which suggests the seller is knowledgeable and competent. There are other types of sellers as well, but those are the ones normally I see selling camera equipment. So how do you assess the seller? Well, who sells cameras? Have a look at the seller and their feedback. Be cautious about low feedback or bad feedback. If their sold items are almost exclusively photography items, then they are most likely professional or amateur dealers. These sellers presumably know what they're talking about and generally should only be describing cameras as not working, working, or film tested and working. Why would a camera dealer not test something before offering it for sale? Another type of seller, if they're selling lots of mainly household items, just one or two cameras, they're likely to be something like house clearance traders. They would be called on to clear houses after someone has died, and they offer payment to the estate for the goods that they collect. Most will not be knowledgeable about cameras and are probably going to describe the item as untested or appears to work but not film tested. And my experience, these show quite a risk of corroded batteries and battery compartments. Be very cautious about untested or appears to work but not film tested. If your seller sells quite a few diverse items like clothing, kids' toys and maybe just one camera, they're probably private sellers, people who are most likely getting short of stuff that's been lying around for years, including inherited cameras. Usually they don't know what they're selling, so you won't know what you're buying, and there is a big risk of battery corrosion. So private sellers, it may be their camera that they've had for years, and in that case they should be able to describe the condition, but generally buying from private sellers can be risky. Charities, some of the larger charities, sorry, I took my glasses off when I went to the front door when the bell went. Some of the larger charities regularly offer camera job lots on eBay. The donations are sorted as they come in, and I believe quite often they just lump a number of cameras together and sell them straight on as untested. And I would buy them expecting some to work and some to be broken. So the lot needs to be low in price for me to bid. And the other type of seller that I see on eBay selling cameras and equipment, photographers, amateur or professional. These will probably mention in the status somewhere in the listing, and are usually selling because they have bought or are buying replacements. Expect accurate descriptions and often higher prices. So, my experience on eBay. The first film camera I bought on eBay was actually the Olympus OM10. I bought it from, as far as I can remember, because it's about 15 years ago now, I bought it from a private seller, and it came with the camera, the standard lens, the manual adapter, and there was also a 75 to 150mm zoom lens, and the lot came to £28. Subsequently I found that the aperture blades in the standard lens were quite sticky, and at the time, well still, I don't have that experience in taking lenses apart, so I went back on eBay and looked for a Zuiko 50mm standard lens. Found one, bought it, it was cheap, it came and it had sticky aperture blades and fungus. I got in touch with the seller and they gave me a refund and told me not to bother sending the lens back. So that was Zuiko 50mm lens number 2, which I've still got them and they're still not fixed. The lens here I actually got from a charity shop in the Lake District, and I think somebody in that shop actually does their own clean, lubrication and adjustment, because all the stuff that they sell in this shop is spot on. So I eventually got my 50mm 1.8 and it's worth it because it is a cracking lens. Anyway, that was the first one I bought from eBay from private seller. The second one I bought from eBay was a Zenit TDL. I can't remember how much I paid for it, but I was hankering after one of these because when I had my first SLR camera, a Zenit EM, I used to lust after the TDL which had through the lens metering. So I bought it. When it came, run a couple of films through it and found out that it had light leaks. So it's the first camera where I've actually replaced the light seals. Simple job, and I wouldn't reject a camera for light seals because they're easy to sort. So there's lots to be had on eBay. If you go in with an open mind, you can buy some interesting things. 3 things you should be sure about before pressing confirm bid. Are you happy with the description and the photos? Are you happy with the integrity and feedback of the seller? And are you setting a budget and sticking to it? After all, you don't want to get sucked into a bidding war. It's not personal. If somebody outbids you and it goes over what you're prepared to pay, walk away and watch out for the next one. So that's it. I quite like buying from eBay. I've had a few failures. I got a job lot which cost me £5, which ended up all going in the bin because they were described as untested, but I think it was somebody who knew a little bit about cameras, knew they were broken, just described it as untested. It wasn't an expensive failure, but it was a failure nonetheless. So, online purchasing. If you're buying from eBay, be cautious, be sensible. If you're buying from Gumtree, Facebook Marketplace, etc., buyer beware. The safest place is specialised online shops, but you tend to pay more there. So that's it for this time. There will be a part 2, which is sometime in the future. I'll discuss how I go about buying cameras face to face at car boot sales, second-hand shops, charity shops, what I look for before I make a decision. So that's it for now. Thank you very much for watching and happy hunting. Hope you find good things like these. Bye for now.